Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Ogbanje Joseph. Please subscribe to this channel, share, like, as well as drop a comment on the comment section. So, our lecture today is titled The Negative and Positive Impact of Globalization on African Society. The impact of globalization on Africa. So, globalization is a term that is used to describe the growing worldwide integration of the people and, of course, countries all over the world. According to Paulo, 1980, globalization is described as a process of increasing global integration by way of creating a global marketplace in which all nations are forced to participate. Now, globalization refers to the expansion in international trade, movement of multinational corporations, telecommunications, monetary cooperation and integration, cultural exchanges, and technical cooperation, of course, migration and relations among the world rich and poor countries. Now, according to Ajay 2001, Ajay 2001 defines globalization as the increasing integration and interaction among people in in activities that relate to economic, in human society around the world. One of the major pillars of globalization is information technology, which has actually resulted in the opening and exposure of people of the world to more than ever before different and alternative views, and a consequence of influencing almost all aspects of human life. Now, let us look at features. What are the features of globalization? Now, the features of globalization include number one, internationalization. Now, this describes increase in economic transactions across borders, which has been taking place since the turn of the century, but has undergone quantitative leap in recent decades. That is number one feature of globalization. Number two is technological revolution and worldwide network. Now, this describes the effect of electronic communication, permeating, other actors, permitting other actors to operate globally with less regard for location, distance, and borders. Okay, that is actually number two. Number three is liberalization. Now, what is liberalization? Liberalization describes policies undertaken by national governments to deregulate their economics, create market for free entries and exit, and thus prevent hostilities among nations. Okay, number four, transportation and migration. Transportation and migration is one of the features of globalization. Another feature of globalization is computer data flows. Okay, that is number six. Number seven is satellite communication. Okay, number eight is international focus on the United Nations. Now, let us look at the positive impact of globalization on the African economy. Now, number one is export-led growth and expansion of international trade, in favor of Africa. That is number one. Number two is that it reduces barrier existing in international trade. That reduction has opened the door for export-led growth, for the African societies. Okay, society, that's number two. Number three, globalization has led to technology transfer, to the African continent. That's number three. Number four, globalization has led to the creation of employment, for African Africans. Number five, globalization has led to the encouragement of the small and medium scale enterprises in Africa. Number five, or number six, globalization has created global market and global village, which has made life easy, for the Africans. Okay, number seven, it has helped people to make access, to have access to knowledge without being hindered. Then number 8, globalization has actually led to good governance, political stability, and peace within the African region. Then number 9, globalization has actually opened access to quality goods and services, for Africa and Africans. Now, let us look at, the negative impact of globalization to the African societies. Number one negative impact of globalization to the African society is that it has made Africa to start facing, the harshness of climate change that affects them even more than those that have caused the problem. Of course, it is the first world countries that actually caused the problem of climate change. But because of globalization, it is the African countries that are actually are hard hit, they are the worst hit when it comes to the impact or the negative impact of climate change on the world. Okay, so number two, number two negative impact of globalization on the African society is that it has made African economies to be open to the vagaries of the uncertainty and volatility of the international market because of globalization and because Nigeria or Africa is a player on the global scale. Of course, the African economies have been open to the vagaries and volatility of the international market. That is number two. Number three, globalization has caused what we call cultural imperialism, which made Africans, to abandon their own culture and accept hook, line, and sinker the Western culture. In fact, okay, it has actually created what is known as xenocentrism in the African society because, of course, Africans now value, the Western culture more than, more than their own culture. Okay, so that is actually number three. Number four, now globalization has caused unemployment and deepened poverty in Africa. Of course, the impact of globalization to the African society can never be overemphasized, particularly the negative impact. And we are talking about unemployment, and it has also deepened poverty within the continent. Now, it is globalization that has actually caused all that. Okay, then number five, which is the last point, is that globalization has killed the local industries because of the overwhelming influence of the multinational corporations that are actually coming from the West. Of course, the impact of MNCs on the political economy of the African societies, can never be overemphasized. This is because multinational corporations, what they do to the African society is actually, mind blowing. Mind blowing in the sense that they actually take part, okay, they negatively influence the politics, the economy. They are involved in over invoicing. They are involved in, repatriation of profit. Now, they will tell you that they are actually involved in technology transfer, but the kind of technology that is actually transferred to the African society is actually the one that is substandard. And of course, at worst or at best, the kind of technology that is actually transferred are those that the Africans themselves do not actually, do not have the wherewithal, to manage. So at the end of the day, it is still these Western capitalist countries that will still manage, okay, that are still managing the technology that they claim they have actually transferred to the Western, to the African society. So basically, we have actually looked at the positive impact or implications of globalization, for the African society, as well as the negative impact of globalization for the African society. Globalization, no doubt, has positive impact or benefits to the African society, and of course, it also has, negative, impact on the African society. But what is important is that the African countries should position themselves in such a way that they maximize the gains of globalization, and try to actually push down the negative implications of globalization to their economies. Thank you very much.